If you're like me, you've been spending hundreds of millions, if not billions of gold on re-rolling and masterworking in the new Diablo 4 Season 4. This item rework has brought new life into Diablo 4. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it's like a brand new game. I've been having to relearn concepts that I thought were given from the ground up since I first started playing this game. For example, with this amulet alone, I've probably spent close to 1 billion gold on re-rolling this, trying to get Devouring Blaze instead of Glass Cannon on here. It's crazy. They say that Devouring Blaze and like Hellbent Commander getting these passives on amulets is almost as rare as getting Shaco in the game, and I'm starting to agree because I just sunk hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of gold into trying to roll this, and I still haven't gotten it. Gold and gold income in this game is a serious problem. So that's why I wanted to make this Sorcerer farming guide my new and improved Fireball Farming 3.0. How to farm gold the most efficiently that you can in Season 4 of Diablo. First of all, let's ask ourselves the question, why the Sorcerer? Why are we dedicating a farming guide to just the Sorcerer? Well, if you think back, and if you were an old school player of Diablo 2, it was not uncommon to make a character specifically in the game just for farming. Now in Diablo 2, this was because of Magic Find, and there were certain Magic Find items that were specific to the Sorcerer in Diablo 2, making the Sorcerer the best farming character in the game, the best farming class. Now, in this game, there's no specific farming affixes or gear in the game yet, although I really do think that they should come out with either gold find or plus gold stats for us to make farming gear. You know, if they don't want to come out with Magic Find, that's fine. But we really do need something to help us farm. But there are actually several advantages to playing the Sorcerer for farming in this game. And the number one advantage is that the Sorcerer is the fastest class by far. There is no other class that can farm faster, and that is because of the mobility that teleport gives you. You're able to teleport across screen, and there are several tricks that you can do with teleport that I'm going to be going over in this video. I'm going to be breaking this video up into several sections, what your build is going to look like, what the kind of gear that you want to get is, as well as I'm going to be giving my tips and tricks for how to farm gold, and likewise how to use your abilities like teleport to the best of their ability. So check in the description for the timestamps in the video to go to specific sections that you want to go to. But it is possible with the new masterworking to get teleport down to a 2-second cooldown. And if you, maybe even sub 2 second, but I think a 2 second is pretty good to have, you know, a 2 second cooldown on teleport. If you think about it, it's really quick, like 2 seconds, 1, 2 teleport, 1, 2 teleport, 1. Like, that is super quick, and being able to go through, you know, and do the whispers that quickly is amazing. You know, there are several other whisper guides that are out there right now, like the one from Wudijo. He states in his guide to not do the dungeon whispers, and for a rogue, I'm pretty sure that's true. But for a sorcerer that can teleport throughout the dungeon and skip all the mobs, that's definitely not true. So let's get into the guide. The other big thing with the Sorcerer making us by far the best farming class is Flame Shield making us immortal. You can actually use Flame Shield while either leaving dungeon, teleporting back to town, or teleporting anywhere, or interacting with objects like freeing prisoners, picking up the stones to put on the pillars, like going and getting objectives. So it means it's very easy for us, like even if something is surrounded by elite mobs, we don't have to spend the time to kill everything, just hit Flame Shield, interact with that object, and be on your way. It lets us do dungeons in almost 2 minutes, and 2 minutes to get 5 whispers is extremely effective. So now that we know that we want to use the Sorcerer for farming because we are the fastest class, we have immortal things that allow us to interact with objects, making us very, very, very efficient at picking up and doing dungeons very, very quickly. Why Fireball? Like, why not some other spec in the Sorcerer? And the number one reason for me is just how easy it is. Like, you don't have to aim fireball. You can literally just stand still in some instances and just fire fireball off screen. Just simply just standing still and just clicking buttons, like looking at your mini map, just clicking buttons, and then you'll just spray everything off screen. It makes it very, very simple. Like, you don't have to move around like you would with ball lightning. You don't have to aim like you would with Blizzard, because Blizzard has a pretty small area. So you actually have to like use it in multiple areas and aim it. Whereas with Fireball, you can literally just spray the entire area off screen. It just makes it very easy. The number one thing with farming is that it's kind of boring and it takes a long time. So being that farming is boring, usually you want to do something else while you're farming, like watch videos, listen to music. I often watch like Star Wars Unlimited match videos while I'm farming in Diablo 4. And you don't really want to pay attention. And there is no better spec to not pay attention than Fireball because it just sprays the whole screen. So the first thing I'm going to go over with this build guide is the gear that you're going to want to get to maximize your farming in Diablo 4. So now this isn't going to be overly complicated, and I'm not going to go over every single piece of gear because there are only certain pieces of the gear that matter. And the number one thing that matters when it comes to your gear in this farming build is your amulet. So what you're going to want, I'm going to actually talk about the amulet and the boots together. Because the first thing that you want to do with a farming build is cap your movement speed at a 100% movement speed at all times. That's the first thing. It's incredibly important to do so. So that's the first thing that you want to do, and the thing that you want to focus on first. So you can see here for my amulet, I have a greater affix on movement speed on my amulet. So there are two ways that you can cap out on movement speed. You can basically get 3 movement speed rolls. So you can get a movement speed roll on the base, like the 3 affixes on the legendary amulet. Likewise, on your boots, you can get a movement speed roll on those as well. You can also temper a movement speed roll on both the boots and the amulet. I'll show that here. Let me just grab another amulet from my box. So you can see here with the boots, if you go under the mobility, under tempering, you get the option to have sorcerer motion. So you have to choose between a movement speed roll and teleport cooldown reduction, which both stats are incredibly important for farming. You want to get your teleport down to as little of a cooldown reduction, like a cooldown as possible. Now, one thing I don't know, which I haven't tested out yet because I'm not at the cooldown cap, I don't think. Let me look at my cooldown. Yeah, so I'm at 40% cooldown reduction right now. So I'm nowhere near the cooldown cap. So I don't know. It says this amount is capped at 75%. I don't know if that's additive between your total cooldown reduction and your cooldown reduction for a specific skill. So I don't know how those add together in terms of the cap. That's something I'll have to test out as I get better stats on my gear. Because it's not like I'm rocking like a triple greater affix amulet here. But so like I was saying, you need to choose between movement speed and teleport cooldown reduction. So what you either need is 3 high rolls on movement speed, meaning like you can see here, I have one that's greater and it double crit when I masterworked. And then I have 2 more here. So you're going to need 3 high rolls, or maybe even 4, because you can see you get around 23%. You want to get to the 75% movement speed, so that way with your Ghost Walker, you cap out at the 100%, because Ghost Walker gives you 25, so you're going to need to get a total of 75% movement speed from the 3 or 4 affixes, meaning one of the base affixes on both your amulet and boots, and then the tempered sorcerer motion. So then it is possible actually to do it in 2. You can see here I have 40%. So it is possible to get another 40% if I greater it and then crit it with the tempering, with the masterworking. So then in that case, if I had 40% on both my amulet and boots, I would be able to have 2 teleport cooldown reduction rolls on my masterworking with the Sorcerer motion instead of having the third movement speed roll here. So you kind of need to adjust on the fly, but that's why I'm talking about this, because the first thing that you want to do is cap out 100% on movement speed for your farming build. So that's number one. Because you want to move as fast as possible, right? You want to move as fast as possible through the dungeon. You want to move as fast as possible while picking up things on the ground, like picking up the motes, picking up the cinders in Helltide. Whatever you're doing, you want to move as fast as possible. This Ghostwalker aspect is key on your boots. There are two aspects that are key. Ghostwalker is number one. This is why we use a normal boot, because it gives you the 25% movement speed, and teleport makes you unstoppable. So this is going to be happening literally all the time. This is going to be permanently up for you. You're going to be running through, moving freely through enemies and running around with cap movement speed all the time, because your teleport has a 2-second cooldown, and this lasts for 4 seconds after you teleport. So it's up permanently, which is excellent. And then the other aspect that's really important is the aspect of the bounding conduit, which is to give your teleport 3.8 seconds off of its cooldown. This is how we're going to be getting to that 2-second cooldown. So very, very important to put this on the amulet. So now that we've gone over both the amulet and the boots, those are the two most important pieces in your farming setup. The next important piece in your farming setup would be the Oculus. So the Oculus allows you to cap out on the cooldown on your teleport with a single item. It gives you plus 15 teleport. So if you look in your skill tree, you can see that I'm sitting at 20 ranks in teleport. But you can see here that the cooldown, the next rank, the cooldown actually doesn't change. So if I would actually take off my Shaco here, just to show you. So if I'd actually take off my Shaco there, going down to 16, you can see I'm only getting, what is that, 267 to 265. If I put back on my Shaco, it goes to 231. So I think 231 is like my soft cap right now. I can get it down a little further if I get some better cooldown reduction on my gear. Like I said, I think we can get like a sub 2-second cooldown teleport pretty easily. So, but there's a certain point, I think it's at like 18 or 19 ranks, where it just stops giving you any more cooldown reduction on the teleport. You can see here, I'm at that point. So you either want to get the Shaco or you want to get plus teleport on your chest, because that's where the defensive skills, either plus defensive skills or plus teleport specifically, like on this piece right here. You see I have +3 teleport on this chest here. So if you don't have Shaco, you can just simply get a plus teleport chest to use. And again, since we're doing open world content, the content's super easy. So it's not like you're going to need to min-max your defense or min-max your damage. You're going to be one-shotting mostly everything. So you want to focus on min-maxing your mobility and min-maxing like your mana and things like that. So that way you can move quickly and you can just farm very quickly. Defense and damage matter a lot less when you're even level with the mobs. You're basically going to be one-shotting everything anyway. So if you don't have the Shaco, get the chest with the plus teleport or the plus defensive skills to kind of cap out on your teleport ranks. So that way that you can get the cooldown as low as possible. So that's the top two things. Number one, 100% movement speed. Number two, cap out on your ranks. Get it to like 19 or 20 ranks. You don't need to go any higher than that because the cooldown stops reducing, as you can saw by the example I just gave you. So, and you'll use that by either having Shaco or by getting it on your chest. So then everything else that you have in your gear set, like after you cap out on your teleport ranks, after you cap out on your plus movement speed, then you just kind of want to stuff your normal damage stuff in there and as much cooldown reduction as possible. So you can see here, I'm using a focus that has double cooldown reduction. So you get the innate cooldown reduction and then has a maxed out cooldown reduction roll. So that's super good there. If you find like a greater FX cooldown reduction, get it to crit a few times. That would be amazing. Then likewise, I have cooldown reduction and the teleport cooldown reduction on my amulet. Super great there. Like I have cooldown reduction on my Shaco. Likewise, you'd want cooldown reduction on a legendary helm if you have it. And then I have cooldown reduction on my ring. I use this ring here. You could like use X falls instead of like a damage ring. You can see here I'm using a damage ring. I do like using this like one damage ring with the attack speed from Ancient Flame and then the attack speed on the ring. It just kind of makes the farming smoother to have all that plus attack speed. Like quickly spam Fireball. I like it versus going like the X falls to really cap out on cooldown reduction. I don't think it's necessary. I like the smoothness of the attack speed over this. So this is what I decide to use. And then after that, that's pretty much it for the gear. Like there's no real gear requirement for the farming build. Like I said, 100% movement speed, cap out on teleport, cap out on cooldown reduction, and then past that, just do normal damage stuff. I'll put a link in the description below of my build, like of the makeup of the build. But again, since we're farming like 103 mobs, it's not so critical because you're going to be one-shotting everything anyway. So the way that we're going to be farming gold with this build, this farming build, is by doing the Whispers. Everyone knows it. It's the best way to farm gold. But the most important point about this is not only is our Whispers amazing for farming gold, but it's also amazing for farming gear. Because keep in mind, while you're running through the open world and while you're running through the dungeons to get the Whispers, all the gear that's going to be dropping is 925. So yes, there are other ways to get better gear, like doing tormented bosses, doing Duriel runs. Like that's the best way to get good gear, right? Get good uniques and things like that. That's the best way. But you can get a triple greater affix drop from open world farming and get like best in slot items. Like legendary items are actually in many cases better than uniques. So doing this gold farming and doing these gold farming runs, I've found many, many, many amazing items just by doing this. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone here, doing the gold farming and then also farming for amazing gear. So to do the Whisper farming, I do what I like to call a Whisper rotation, which there are three kinds of Whispers. There are the greater Whispers that give you 5, and those are either the dungeon, like shown here. You have to complete the dungeon, or they are the greater ones from the Helltide, that it's usually killing the Blood Maiden. Those are super quick to do. And then likewise, the PvP ones, there are PvP ones that you can do to kill the PvP boss, the Abomination. And then those give you 5 as well. So you're always going to want to do those because they are the most time efficient. Like I said, with the Sorcerer farming, with the maxed out teleport, the maxed out movement speed, you can pretty much do a dungeon in about 2 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes for 5 Whispers is great. Then, of course, you have the medium Whispers. The medium Whispers include the harvest ones. You have to collect 100 motes and then go to the altar and then summon the elite mobs that you have to kill. That's super quick. Likewise, we have the PvP ones, the Purify Seeds of Hatred. Those are, I really only spend the time to go to the PvP zones when they have the Abomination 5 Greater Whisper. So I do both at the same time, which it's important to note that when you do that, you want to make sure you have at least 8 available Whispers. So that way when you kill the Abomination boss, you get the 5. I guess you would the maximum you would need to have is 6 available, right? So you could kill the boss, get the 5, and then go and purify the seeds. And then that way you wouldn't have to go and deposit your Whispers, like return and cash in your Whispers prior to doing the Seeds of Hatred, because if you leave the PvP zone, you actually lose all your Seeds of Hatred. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have at least 6 Whispers available, so that way you can kill the boss and purify the Seeds of Hatred. Likewise, another medium Whisper is the ritual one, that you have to get 3 rituals. So these are very easy to do. Just run around the map, get 3 rituals, and get your 3 Whispers. The other 3 one that you can do is when there's one that's like a 3 event one. I wouldn't recommend doing that because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a slow event as one of your 3 events. There are many, many slow events that you like. The waves of darkness take forever. It's like 3 minutes or something like that. And like the caravan ones, the wandering soul ones, like these ones take like 3 to 5 minutes to do. It's super long, so it's really time inefficient for completing the whispers. So I don't recommend doing the triple event whisper. And then you have minor whispers that give you 1 whisper. So these ones are like the find a corpse one. There find a corpse is very, very common. There's these cellar ones that are often you can often do in like 30 seconds. If they're like the purge, the cellar ones. Sometimes you do have like a waves of darkness-esque event that you have to do down there. Takes a little bit more time. If you want to be super time efficient, you could just leave the cellar if you get one of those, or you can just stand still and just blast everything and just relax and get your 1 whisper and call it a day. There's like a 70 or 80% chance you have a purge the cellar one. I think the waved event only comes up so often. So it's usually really quick to do these, but sometimes you have to take a little bit more time. And then, of course, there's the cull one. Like, you'll have to, like, cull spiders, cull skeletons. And these ones are usually pretty quick. Although, so now I want to talk about, like, how the most efficient way to do whispers. My whisper rotation is I go to an area, and then the first thing you want to think of is your medium whispers, because those are pretty much the most efficient ones, like the 3 ones. Because what you'll do is, like, let's say you have a harvest moat one, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a harvest moat one there. So you're going to have to collect 100 moats from mobs. So what I do is, the first thing I do is I either find a corpse or I find where I need to defeat mobs, and I go to that one first. And then, while I'm either finding the corpse or defeating the mobs, I'm collecting moats simultaneously. So I'm getting my minor whispers while simultaneously collecting my moats. And then once I'm full on moats, then I stop doing minor whispers. And you can also do the minor events. If you have one of the quick events, you can do one of these. Like if you have a defiled ground or a ancient siphon event, you can do these super quick, like under a minute. So if they're close by, that's the other thing. You want to really base your whispers on what you have close by to you. You don't want to travel all the way across the map, because travel time adds a lot to your farming time. So you always want to do what's in close proximity to you. Like, for example, if I travel to a whisper area and the dungeon is right by the waypoint, I'll just do the dungeon first, because it's always important to do what's in close in proximity. But okay, back to the whisper rotation. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do your minor whispers, your 1 whispers, while you're collecting your moats, because you know you're going to need to kill 100 mobs anyway to get those moats. So it's best to get minor whispers while you're doing that, right? Rather than just like travel area to area, just looking for packs to collect your moats. Do the minor whispers while getting your moats or while getting the rituals. And then once you have all the rituals or once you have all the moats, finish that off, get your medium whisper, and then finish off the dungeon. Because again, 9 times out of 10, it's going to take you about 2 to 3 minutes to do that dungeon. Super efficient for 5 whispers. So for the Helltide area for whispers, like I mentioned, most of the Helltide whispers take way too long, I'll be honest. They take way, way too long. So the only Helltide one that I end up doing is I do the Defeat the Blood Maiden one, or Defeat the Hellborn. Either the Hellborn or Defeat the Blood Maiden. Those are the only 2 whispers that I focus on that will bring me to the Helltide area, right? Now, if my Helltide area happens to also be a whisper area, and I can simultaneously do Helltide whispers and regular whispers, then I will go to the Helltide area. And then you want to kind of look out, because there's also a whisper for tortured gifts. So if you're like doing whispers in the Helltide area and you're collecting the normal whispers from the Helltide area while simultaneously getting cinders, if the other area has a tortured gift whisper, You can collect all those cinders, then just go to the area that has the tortured gift whisper, and just open 3 like really cheap chests. Like open 3 of the armor ones for 75 whispers cinders each. So really quickly get that medium-sized whisper there. That's super efficient to do. So the Helltide area you're mostly going to want to stay away from, but if it has a Blood Maiden or if it has a Kill Hellborn, those will bring me to the area. Or if the Helltide happens to be on top of normal whispers, that will also bring me to the area. And then also definitely do the world boss whisper when it's up. World bosses are incredibly important to do for farming these day and ages. The Stygian stones are incredibly rare, and they drop pretty often from world bosses, so you're going to want to definitely do the world boss whenever it's up. So now that you've collected your whispers, the next thing that you're going to need to do is actually turn in your whispers. So you must be asking yourself, what are the best catches for you to actually collect from the whisper tree? So if your goal is gold farming, the number 1 whisper catch, so let me show you first. I've collected a lot of data on this. Look at how much data I've collected. Look at that. I have probably over 100 catch data points that I've collected over the past few weeks, just collecting whispers. So I'm speaking with confidence when I say that the chaos caches have the highest amount of gold. But sometimes they have 4 million gold in them, but most often they will have 8 million gold, and they can have upwards of 12 to 13 million gold from the chaos catches. So the chaos ones are number 1. Whenever you see a chaos one, you prioritize picking that one over even greater ones. So the chaos ones will have more gold than even the greater ones. The greater ones will have about 4 to 8 million gold, so an average about 6. I think the chaos ones average about, from my calculations, the chaos ones average about 8 million gold. So the greater ones average about 6, and then the normal ones average about 4. So that's kind of the priority system there. So it goes chaos, greater, and then normal. And then also for whenever I choose the normal ones, I'm usually picking like amulet, just because a good amulet's so hard to find. And if I randomly get an awesome amulet from a catch, that's great. If I don't have an amulet one, I always choose one of the weapon ones, because selling items in this game actually gives you a fair amount of gold. Like selling an inventory of legendaries will get you about 1 or 2 million gold, which is decent. And then likewise, the 2-handed weapons, even when they're rare, you can sell them for almost as much as a legendary. So I always choose like the 2-hander or the 1-hander caches, because even the rares from those will sell for a decent amount of gold. That's the other thing. You want to make sure you're selling inventories of items. You get so many veiled crystals and so many of the legendary items from just normal drops and like legendary mob drops and like the catches, the tortured gifts from Helltides. You get so many of those just by traveling throughout the world, killing treasure goblins and whatnot, that I stopped salvaging my items. I get enough of those just from normal drops. I need to sell my items for gold. Maximize your gold intake by selling inventory worth of items and then getting the whisper catches as well. So the last thing I want to talk about to maximize your time farming is different teleport techniques that you can use. There's several different teleport techniques that you can use. The first one I want to talk about is how you can teleport from the top or bottom of various things that you need to climb. Like you need to hit spacebar to climb. You can actually teleport down. It saves you a few seconds of climbing. And that might seem minuscule to you, but when you're speed farming and you want to do like under 2-minute runs, climbing takes a while. So teleporting up or down, you need to make sure that you can have your cursor completely over the top area or bottom area that you can go to. That's how you successfully execute that teleport. So if it's like too high or too low, usually it's too high for you to see. You can't make that teleport, so you actually have to see it in order to successfully teleport. So that's the first advanced teleport technique, would be to skip those spacebar climbing or descending with teleport. That's the first one. The second one is through doors. So in this game, how teleport kind of works is you need a clear path for you to be able to teleport that and you're not stopped. So if there's no unobscured path for you to walk, you can't teleport there. But the one exception is open doors. Like in dungeons, if you have doors that are gated versus closed doors, this is kind of weird, but this is how it works. So if you have like open gated doors, like the doors with holes in them, you can actually teleport through them, and it actually lets you able to traverse dungeons very quickly when you do that. Like you don't have to open the gates of the doors to walk through, to teleport through them. And I'll show example of that right here while I'm talking about it. But that's very important to note. So it doesn't work on the closed like wooden doors, but it works on the open gated doors. So that's worthy to note there. Another advanced teleport technique when you're running through like the dungeons with a bunch of the skeletons, and they have the gated open doors. The final advanced teleport technique I want to go over is how you can kind of teleport down ledges or up ledges. This can be a way for you to not have to like take your horse and go way around. Just there are several ledges, and you always want to kind of look out for this. I'm not going to go over every area that you can do this at, but it's just a technique. Like if you're able to safely put your cursor and it's not too far away, the game is kind of finicky with how this works. Sometimes it won't work for you, so you just kind of have to test it out. But there are many ledges in the game that you can teleport down and up in. You'll just kind of have to feel that out. It's a way for you to kind of speed farm and move through areas quickly. So you just kind of have to test that out and get a feel for it. So these are my advanced farming techniques for the Fireball Farming 3.0. I think a lot of us are spending a lot of time farming in this game now. There's just a lot to farm. The items are complicated now with the tempering and masterworking. So Farming Whispers is pretty much number one. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe for all the best gaming guides and content. And as always, turn your dial to Random Number Gaming for weekly updates on Diablo 4 and the best farming and build guides available.